Mixing is one of the most important parts of your music creation process. It sits right between the recording and the releasing, and if you get it right, your releases will sound amazing. If you get it wrong, yeah, they don't sound quite so good. So in this video, I'm going to actually show you how I mix a track end to end. I've got my track here called Sin, which I did a mix along the way because I do advocate mixing as you go. It's a better way to do it, but I just got this one so wrong that I want to start from scratch. So if you've ever wanted to see a full end-to-end mixing process with the faders down, starting from nothing, mixing to our final mix track, then this is the video for you. Let's go. Hi, my name is Pete. This is Studio Live today, where I help you create, record, and release your best music. Now, mixing is one of the things that I probably get asked about the most, which is how do I mix my track? How do I use volume, automation, compression, EQ, delay, reverb, all of that? So this video is where I'm going to go through all of it. I'm going to put my faders down. I'm going to start from scratch on this mix, and I'm going to show you some of the techniques and some of the ways that I get good quality vocals, guitars, drums, percussion, bass, all the rest of it. So if you've ever wanted to see a full end-to-end mixing process, then this is a video for you. We are going to be here for a while because I'm going to show you the full unedited process as we go through. Maybe it's a tiny bit of editing, but it's going to be long. So if you like these longer form tutorial videos, then dive in, grab some popcorn, grab a beverage of your choice, and we'll get started. If you like the quicker tutorials, if you just want to get to the point and find out the nitty-gritty, my Quick Jam series is for you, and I'll link that up above and down below. But if you do want to get this detailed view, let's dive in now to the iPad and jump in and mix this track. Let's go. And here is our song, our track called Sin, here in GarageBand iOS. So let's just do a quick review of the tracks that we have here. You can see there's some heavy automation on here, and it's a guitar vocal driven song. So we have 5 acoustic guitar tracks at the top here, and this is one of my problems. This is why this is a big muddy mess, is that once again, like in previous tracks, I have tried to fix things by just adding more guitars, which doesn't always work. We've got 3 electric guitars, we've got a lead sort of delay here, we've got a couple of distorted power chordy type rhythm guitars, we've got a bass guitar here which is just sitting there doing its thing, we've got Anders on our drums, and then we've got our vocals. So we've got 3 vocal tracks here. We don't have any backing vocals in this song. It's all a lead vocal driven song. We've got our lead vocal here, we've then got a rap section which comes in down here, and then this is a double. So this is a double of our vocal just to sit in behind that vocal mix. Now at the moment, the song, let's just come into a particularly muddy part and play it back just to hear what it sounds like at the moment.
Fit in with the other guys, shoot the breeze to show them I'm on board. I try to realize the truth is.
So that's sort of the verse section, and then when we kick into a chorusy part, let's just find that here. So, look at where our peaks were. They were right up the top here. We have far too much volume on this. We've got far too much muddiness in that mid-range. It's not crisp. It's not... So, look, I'm sounding harsh because I want this to be really good for the final album version. And the reason I didn't release this as a single when I first recorded it is that I wasn't happy with this mix. I thought it was a good song. I thought it had potential, but it didn't quite work here. So what I want to do is, as I mentioned, I'm going to do a faders down remix here, which means that I need to remove all this automation, and I need to push all the faders down. I'm going to leave the EQ that I have at the moment and the effects and the reverb and the delay, and we'll start playing with that because I don't want to go from absolute scratch, because I'm going to pretend like I recorded all of these, because volume and automation is one thing that we can change here, but I did dial in some of these settings, and I'm not super unhappy with the, say, the electric guitar tones and some other things. So I'm not going to reset everything back to like complete clean sounds, but I do want to make sure that we have faders down so that we can build this track up and get this peaking back to a reasonable level. Because if we try and master this, we put some limiting on this now, it's just going to sound like a big crunchy muddy mess, which is not what we want. We want it to sound, still have some power, we want some power behind it, but we want it to be clean in the places that it needs to be clean so it can really kick in when it needs to. Okay, so I'll just do a couple of these and then I'll let you go away while I do the rest because it's not exactly the most thrilling and interesting thing to watch. So we'll go here. All we need to do with automation is go to automation and then we need to turn it off. But the problem is it's going to leave all of these automation points here. So we have to actually, this is going to be a little bit annoying for me, which is why I won't make you watch it. We're just going to have to come in here and delete all the automation points that we already have, which, as you can see, can be a little bit tricky when you can't quite get to them, like that. Delete. There we go. And delete these points at the start here, like so. So this is why I've said this a bunch of times. Do your automation right at the end when you know you are super happy with your mix. Don't start doing your automation halfway through your mix because you're going to end up sitting around doing stuff like this where you have to come here and delete a whole bunch of automation points. All right, so that's now just sort of flat there, that automation, so it can come up and down, but we can now turn it off. So that's what I'm going to do, come through here and remove the automation so that we can get back to dialing in. And then what I'll do is I'll dial in a static mix by pulling all my faders down and then like so, and then bringing them up and building this track out. So let me go in and do all this boring maintenance, and then we'll come back and we'll start mixing. Okay, I'll just come back for one moment because I've just worked out a quick way to speed up my workflow here. And you might be going, yeah, duh. But if I select this whole section like that, then I can just tap once and then delete, and it will delete all my automation points and then turn it off. So there you go. I've probably got 400% faster workflow here doing this, and you may have already gone, boy, yeah, of course, that's obvious. But anyway, thought I'd show you that. Let's continue on, and we'll be back and do some mixing shortly. Okay, all of our automation is removed, and we can tell that because we now have access to all of our faders, and we can adjust all of these. So now I'm going to literally put all my faders down like so, and we are going to start. And I've not actually ever done this in GarageBand before because, as I mentioned briefly at the start, I don't actually advocate doing it this way because probably the only time you do this is if you get a track from someone else and you weren't involved with it. Maybe you'd want to do a mix from scratch of just all of their tracks. But what you should be doing is trying to mix as you go so that your final mix should only take you maybe half an hour of just adjusting your effects, adjusting your EQ, and getting it all sounding right in the end. But anyway, we've got our faders down now, so it's going to sound like nothing. So what I'm going to do is we'll go through and we'll go instrument by instrument, starting with our drums, and we will build out this track, making sure that we get our static mix. So a static mix just means a mix with no effects and EQ, even though there is a little bit of effects on an EQ on these tracks originally, but it's just going to be our original mix that we can then go in and then we'll adjust some of the different sounds on our instruments as we go along. Okay, so we're just going to hit play here and I'm going to dial in my drums and bring them up to a reasonable level to start with. And I'm going to try and be really conservative here because you can see I'm already getting into that quarter zone here and I don't want to bring this up too loud because think about how many instruments we're going to have to bring in here. All of these guitars, the bass, the vocals, we want to have plenty of headroom here. So I'm going to leave that pretty low. You might be thinking that's too low. You might like to have your drums sort of sitting up here, but think about the fact that we've got 10 plus tracks that need to balance out here. So we'll now bring in our bass and get this balance with our drums. All right, we'll leave it at that for now. We may need to tweak those as we go along, but that's kind of where we want to be. Now, what I'm going to bring in now is my acoustic guitars because I need to work out how these are all going to sit here. So what I have here now, I've lost track of where I recorded all of these and what they all actually are. So I'm going to have to kind of go through and work this out. So these two here, I think are... well, they're my intro, but I don't know why I have this one separate to this one. Let's just see how we had these panned. That one's on the right, that one's on the left. Let's bring all our panning back. By the way, you know you can double tap to bring everything back to central. I realized I probably should have done this originally anyway to get my panning all in the middle. I'll do that with my other instruments in a minute. So let's just listen to each of these and see what we have. So this is our acoustic guitar for our intro. And it helps if you actually turn the volume up. I'm thinking I have an error here and I realise I'm playing it back at 0 volume. That's really intelligent, Pete. Well done. So I really don't like that guitar sound. And this is, I think, the sound that's making it sound bad. What about this one? That's a better sound. That's a better recorded guitar. What the heck was this one, and why do I have it? I think I tried to double it or do something fancy. I don't like it. I'm going to mute it. I was going to delete it, but let's mute it. Let's not go too harsh yet. What about this third one here? It's obviously it's a lot lower by the looks of it. Let's take a listen to this. Okay, not beautifully played, but it's sounding better. So what about these two together? That's getting a bit better. So what I'm thinking, maybe this one is our... Because this one goes all the way through. So I think this must have been a later take that I did that I had... It looks like I had the volume dialed in a little bit better. So I think this might be my lead instrument that I'm going to have at a higher volume. And maybe this one sits buried underneath it. And I think what I wanted was like a left and a right guitar sound here. But whatever I've done down here, I've obviously got some additional guitars coming in later, because I remember that I do have sort of a complementary guitar, so maybe I leave it centered here and then I move it around later. Let's just listen to these two together and see how they sound. Yeah, I reckon that's okay. So let's bring back in our bass and our drums and see what this is sounding like now. Yeah, so that's definitely a lot better than what I had before. So let's go to these other acoustics, because these obviously come in at the start of our next verse. So why do we do this, and what was my purpose here? So let's play this. Yeah, so this is my second guitar. This one is the bad one again. Let's mute that. That's that poorly recorded one. I don't know what I was doing there or why I was including it, but that one we don't want in there. This one we probably do. And what we probably want to do, we'll leave them center panned at the moment, but because what it looks like I'm doing here and what I was trying to do is have one guitar in here to start with. Let's just get rid of that one for now. To have the one guitar in there, and then it's joined by another guitar, and we have this two-part guitar in this section. So let's just listen to these two together and see what they sound like. Yeah, so you can hear that this one's doing a little bit of a lower kind of riff. Let's just play this by itself. Whereas this one is a little bit higher doing the original riff. So that's cool. They're the guitars that we want. So I'm going to go simple to start with. We can bring in these other ones that I had for whatever reason in later. But the idea I think here is that what I'll do is I'll have this guitar playing probably center panned through that middle section, and then here, when they both come in, I'll push this one sort of middle left and this one middle right, and that will sort of balance those out, because we don't want them all just sitting in the middle once we have the two guitars. We want them stereo panned. And I think that's what I was trying to do with all this business, is try and make it stereo panned right from the start by adding in extra guitar. I don't know. Who knows what I was thinking about, hey? So we're going to go with that. Let's now make sure that we've got these balanced out in this section. And we've got drum and bass, we've got our two acoustic guitars. Let's just get this static mix sounding right. Okay, I don't hate that. I reckon that's about right. And I think once we bring in our other guitars, we're going to find that it will sound better because we'll have that fuller sound. So let's bring in our lead guitar first. So this is our double and delay. I love this tone, this double and delay lead guitar tone. I think it's one of the better tones that we have here. So let's bring this into the mix now and see if we can mix this one in at the right volume. Yeah, that's about right. What about when we kick into some of our heavier business? Yeah, I like it. All right, so our power chord here. So once again, I haven't put these padding back to the middle because I kind of know that I want that one over here on the right and this one over here on the left because this is sort of our complementary guitar sound. So let's bring this one in now and get this balanced out. We'll just bring it up a little. Okay, what about when we kick in? Yeah, so I've put that down a little bit. We kind of want it a bit subtle. What we'll probably need to do is a little bit of automation because you can see here that when we have the... Oh, maybe not actually because we kind of want it to be louder in those louder sections. What about further down here? Yeah, that's good. I actually quite like that. All right, our last guitar here is this Seattle Sound, which doesn't come in until around about here. So what I'm going to do is I'll pump the volume all the way up on this just so you can hear it come in, and then we'll bring it back down. That's something I do a lot, so rather than dial it up, I'll kind of go too extreme and then bring it back down until it's sitting in the mix. So let's take a listen. Alrighty, yep, right about there. Let's just check this in this final chorus section. Yeah, I don't mind. The volume's about right there, but you know what? This sound, I like the fuzz, but it's a little bit too much fuzz for my view. So let's do a quick, because we can, let's quickly jump in here to the amp setting and just see if we can just dial this back a little bit. So what have we got here? Yeah, we have no tremolo. That's cool. So we've got the presence. We might just play around with some of these dial settings and drop the presence perhaps a little bit. We might even bring the treble down. Oh, no, treble up, sorry, a little bit, and bring this bass down a little bit. Let's just play with this and see if we can get this sound a little bit nicer. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. We've got a little bit more treble in the amp settings there, and we've lowered, sorry, vice versa. We've removed a little bit of that, whatever way we went. Yeah, see, I've clearly been mixing too much music lately. I can't use my words. But we'll probably need to bring the volume back down a little bit now because we've upped a few of those settings. There you go. So yeah, I think that plays a bit nicer with the rest of those tracks in there. So we've now got pretty close to a good static instrumental mix. So now, and what you'll also notice here is, like, let's go to the loudest part here, like towards the end here, and have a look at my master meter now compared to where it was when we originally recorded this track. So yeah, it's looking okay. What I did notice there is that we're a little bit right heavy. So what I mean by that is you'll notice here in the VU meter at the top, the right track is a little bit heavier. It's probably because we've got this lead guitar over here doing its work over on the right, which I don't necessarily mind. It might mean it's a little bit too loud and we need to dial that back a little bit. So don't always use your meters. It doesn't have to be perfectly aligned all the time. You want some variety and some movement, but in your sort of chorus sections, you probably don't want that to be too heavy on one side, or the listener is going to feel a bit lopsided if they're listening in headphones. So, all right, so there we go. That's our instrumental static mix. I told you this would take us a while. Let's now dive in and take a look at some vocals. Okay, time to bring in our vocals here. So let's solo this one out. We will dial in the vocals and let's take a listen here at the start of the track.
They say you better toughen up or this here town will eat you alive. They say protect yourself at every turn and never let the others see you cry. They say if you want to fit in here, you better learn to follow, not to.
Okay, that seems to be sitting okay. What about in our loud bits?
Damn, I didn't know it was a problem anymore. It's just the way I feel within, and it's a feeling that I know I can't ignore. I try to fit in with the other guys, shoot the breeze to show them I'm on.
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. What I might do, let's play with some of the compression settings here. We've got a static mix about right. And yes, I'm jumping around a little bit, but oh well. We'll get there. So let's go into our compressor. And because what I want to do is I want to have the vocal, the level down a little bit. I don't want to put the volume up too much and then dial in compression, or it will not be a balanced mix. But if we do it this way, it should sound a bit better. So let's just play now.
Never let the others see you cry. They say.
So I'll explain this as we go through, because I've had a few more questions about compression and how to set compression while I've been doing this series. So the way that I look at compression is that the threshold is what is the compressor actually on. So your compressor threshold kind of says, is the compressor going on and at what volume does it need to go on? Your ratio then becomes, when it does go on, how much is it compressing it? Is it crushing it like 200%, 300, 400? That's your ratio, your 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1. So if at the moment, if I have this at 0 and I put my ratio up to whatever the highest is, 30 to 1, it's not going to do anything.
Hey, if you wanna fit in here, you better learn to follow, not to.
However, as what I can do, let's just put this back to a reasonable sort of level, and then I'll dial the compressor down until you start hearing the compressor actually kicking in.
Protect yourself at every turn and never let the others see you cry. They say if you wanna fit in here, you better learn to follow, not to stand.
So you can hear that it's around about minus 18 dB, which is where this vocal was kind of peaking at. So your compression settings will depend on how loud your source is, because the louder this source is, then the less compression threshold you'll need, because it's already up at that level. Whereas you've got a really quiet source, you'll need to dial your compressor to a much lower or higher, depending which way you look at it, lower threshold, to make sure that it's actually kicking in when it's hitting those peaks. So that's sort of the first thing I wanted to say here. So what I'll do for this track, what I want to do is I want the threshold to kick in. So I want it to level out these louder and softer bits. So I want it to kick in at quite a low thing here, and then I'll compress it up by maybe 3 or 4 to 1. So let's just play with this threshold until it sounds about right.
They say protect yourself at every turn and never let the others see you cry. They say if you wanna fit in here, you better learn to follow, not to stand. They say it's time to be a man, and don't you ever try to get a helping hand. I didn't know it was a sin. I didn't know it was a problem.
So I think that's going to kind of work for us. So we've got, it's pretty aggressive compression now. We've got it down at, because it kicks in around minus 20. So we've pushed that out to minus 27 just to get more. And I've actually upped the ratio here to compress more when it goes down. I'm actually going to lower the attack too. The attack means it's going to kick in quicker. So we'll go with a 10 millisecond attack, which means that it'll only take 10 milliseconds for it to actually start compressing when it hits those peaks. And what I really want this vocal to do is to level out. Like I can do some automation, but the more I can do in compression to level out these quieter bits and these louder bits, we don't want it to match exactly. We do want some dynamic range, but we don't want to have to be putting the volume up and down right throughout there. So let's just listen to this transition and keep an eye on this meter, the actual meter here, so of where it's actually pitching with this, and we'll see if it'll be around about level, and also have a look at our master fader to make sure that that is still at a decent level. Let's go. Whoops, let's go with that now.
Stand. They say it's time to be a man, and don't you ever try to get a helping hand. I didn't know it was a sin. I didn't know it was a problem anymore. It's just the way I feel within, and it's a feeling that I know I can't ignore. I try to fit in with the other kids.
Okay, so can you see there that when we went from this, what you can see here in the waveform is a lower peaks to higher peaks. This didn't actually peak up. It stayed about the same. It sat around about where that dial is. So the compressor is actually leveling out that performance, and it's meaning I don't have to. So even when we come into a bit like this at the end, hopefully the compressor will keep our volume in check.
Problem anymore. It's just the way I feel within, and now I'm pointing you to the door. I didn't know it was a sin. I didn't know it was a.
So we're still getting a powerful vocal. It's still getting in there, but because we've got this compression with the volume a bit lower, the compressor set, it's not blowing it out. It's not being really loud and crunchy at the end there. So I think that's pretty close to where we need it to be. The other thing we need to bring in here is our doubled vocal. So let's go to our doubled vocal here, and we'll do what we did before. I only have the double vocal kind of in the chorusy parts here, so we'll dial it all the way up so you can listen to it, and then we'll just blend it back down into the mix. So with a doubled vocal, if you haven't used a doubled vocal before, by the way, you might be thinking, what is a double vocal? Am I just copying and pasting this bit? Well, no, these are actually different vocal performances. So I've I actually re-recorded the entire vocal, and then I used the better vocal for the main one, and then the less good, the inferior vocal for this secondary one here. So that's what we've done, and that's what we've got here with these doubles. So let's take a listen to this part.
I didn't know it was a sin. I didn't know it was a problem anymore. It's just the way I feel within, and it's a feeling that I know I can't ignore.
So you can hear there that when they're both at the same volume, it sounds quite terrible, but with it just sitting underneath, it's actually sounding okay. So let's come to, where are we? Here we are. Let's come to the next section and just try this again.
Problem anymore. It's just the way I feel within, and it's a feeling that I know I can't ignore.
Yep, pretty good. And then, do we want the double in this final outro section?
To my core, I didn't know it was a sin. I didn't know it was.
Yep. Cool. So we'll leave that in there. Now, you might be seeing we've got one more track here to go. So we've got this track here, which is my rap vocal. This song has a rap interlude here. So let's take a listen to this part. So this is where we have our instrumental going in, and then once again we will dial up the vocal, and then we'll level it back down to where we need it. I do have a double of this same rap vocal, which I have in here. So let's play this and get this last final track dialed in.
A sin to be my own man. I didn't know it was my job to make you understand all the time that I went along with what you say, even though I knew there must be another way. Now it's time that I made a new commitment. So sick of putting up with this resentment. Tried hard but I never even made a jet. In the prejudice, the bigotry, the sentiment. Man up, here you saying I'm the weak one. You're the one who needs to take a look at what you've done. I feel things, I'm pretty sure you feel them too. You're just stuck in the cycle that they handed you. Moving on, I wish them well maybe. Moving on and they're never gonna shame me. No judgment from the ones that I hold close. No judgment from the ones that mean the most.
So what I'm doing here is, once again, I'm playing with the compressor because I want to have the vocal setting down a bit lower, but still have it nice and present in the mix. So I'm adding in a bit of additional compression so that I don't have to load up this vocal fader here. So let's just play that bit again.
I didn't know it was my job to make you understand all the time that I went along with what you say, even though I knew there must be another way. Now it's time that I made a new commitment. So sick of putting up with this resentment.
Okay, I don't like that double in there. That's distracting. Let's delete that. Actually, why don't we? No, we're going to just have to delete it. Do we make a call on this right now and delete the double? Yeah, we do. Alright, go on. Let's play this again, just make sure it doesn't ruin it without it.
I didn't know it was my job to make you understand all the time that I went along with what you say, even though I knew there must be another way. Now it's time that I made a new commitment. So sick of putting up with this resentment. Tried hard but I never even made a jet. In the prejudice, the bigotry, the sentiment. Man up, here you saying I'm the weak one. You're the one who needs to take a look at what you've done. I feel things, I'm pretty sure you feel them too. You're just stuck in the cycle that they handed you. Moving on, I wish them well maybe. Moving on and they're never gonna shame.
Okay, I didn't like that stereo delay that we had in there that's part of this preset, so I've turned that off. I'm just going to turn it back on and just have another quick listen.
You're the one who needs to take a look at what you've done. I feel things, I'm pretty sure you feel them too. You're just stuck in the cycle that they handed you. Moving on, I wish them well maybe. Moving on and they're never gonna shame me. No judgment from the ones that I hold close. No judgment from the ones that mean the most.
Alright, so I've left it on, but I've just dialed it right down a little bit. I think The rest of it's actually sounding okay. We don't have any EQ on this, so let's just see if it does need any EQ on this rap vocal.
Now it's time that I made a new commitment. So sick of putting up with this resentment. Tried hard, but I never even made a jet. In the prejudice, the bigotry, the sentiment. Man up, hear you saying I'm the weak one. You're the one who needs to take a look at what you've done. I feel things, I'm pretty sure you feel them too. You're just stuck in the cycle that they handed you. Moving on, I wish them well, maybe. Moving on, and they're never gonna shame me. No judgment from the ones that I hold close. No judgment from the ones that...
Alright, so I think that's sounding good. I just wanted it to be different from the main singing vocal, so that it just sounds that little bit different. So let's just play a little bit of the vocals here singing, and then make sure that they're sort of matching and working well with the rap vocal.
to respond, but they are laughing at me.
Alright, and then...
Hey, even though I knew there must be another way, now it's time that I made a new commitment. So sick of putting up with this resentment. Tried hard, but I never even made a jet.
Okay, I think our drums actually need to come up a couple of notches. Let's just do that.
In the prejudice, the bigotry, the sentiment. Man up, hear you saying I'm the weak one. You're the one who needs to take a look at what you've done. I feel things, I'm pretty sure you feel them too. You're just stuck in the cycle that they handed you. Moving on.
Okay, that's sounding better. So we are getting there with this mix. I think we are quite close to what we actually want here without having to do a whole lot, because like I said, I'm still reasonably happy with the original sounds that I recorded, the quality of those. I just did too much when it came to adding in additional instruments and processing. I think all these three guitars, these acoustics can stay off. Maybe the delay, double and delay can go down a little bit in volume because it is a little bit right heavy. But what I'm going to do now is I will just check a couple more places, and then I will play this mix and see what it's sounding like as a static mix, and then we'll tackle any automation that we need to do at the end. So I'm going to take a listen now, and you don't have to listen to this part, and then I'll come back and let you know what we need to do with automation. Okay, so I've taken a couple of listens to the track in its entirety, and I'm pretty darn happy with the static mix. I did realize that I had my little FX trick on here to lower the volume, so I removed that and put that back to its original volume, took away the EQ there, and put that back to the volume of 0, so that we can mix all of these correctly. So you can see my faders are a lot lower than they were originally. We've used a little bit more compression here. The one thing I did do was change up my drums. I added a little bit more compression to my drums. Drop the threshold and up the ratio on my drums just so that they sat more present in the mix, which is sounding good. And I've also increased the volume of these guitars. So my electric guitars were not quite kicking in when they needed to in the chorus, so I've increased the volume there, and they seem to be sitting well now. So final thing to do is some automation here, which I'm going to have to do all of those automation curves that we did at the end, but I also want to add some automation to this acoustic guitar. Oh, and the other thing I did with the acoustics is I've pushed this one just a little bit left and this one just a little bit right, and they're going to be that way throughout the whole song, which means it's going to start off being a little bit left heavy, but then when our double and delay kicks in, it balances out. So I found that this gives it a much better balance. We have the double and delay in that one there. We have the original acoustic on the left with our other electric that comes in here. So it just gave me a better overall balance, and again, you can be the judge as to whether it sounds good or not. So let's do the automation for this one first. So here's a quick automation recap. If you don't remember how to do this, we tap on the actual icon itself and then automation. We come into our automation, we tap in here to turn it on, like so. And what we're going to have to do now, so our original volume, see, this is where it's going to be a little bit tricky, because we're going to have to work out, yeah, because we had this automation in here before, it's going to make life a little bit more difficult for me, because I need to work out where this is in the mix and then automate the volume. Yeah, I've made life very challenging for myself here by doing it this way. So let's come in here. We will increase this up to make sure we're at the level where it is at the moment, which we've got no way of determining. Yeah, well done, Pete. You've done really well here. Okay, we'll put it to about there. Let's just see if this is sounding about right.
They say it's time, better toughen up or this here town will eat you alive. They say protect yourself at every turn and never let the others see you cry.
Yeah, that's about right. We probably just need to go up a tiny little bit more. So probably put it around about, yeah. Actually, will it be 0? Is that going to be what it is where we had it before? Or is that going to be too loud? Bop.
Never let the others see you cry. They say if you want to fit in here, you better learn to fight.
Yeah, that's about where we want it. Probably a little bit under that for this opening section. Maybe down to about -2 there. Yeah, about there. And now we're going to actually add in an automation point because when our other guitar joins it here, we actually want it to be lower. So we're going to add 2 points there because we need to do a fade. Let's come in here and find a spot where we want to fade. So it's, whoop, not like that. Undo. Oh, wow. That was good. Undo that and bring this one across. This is where it's hard to do when you're leaning over a camera. A little bit easier to do when you're not. We'll scroll that one there and then drop it down in volume to about there, I reckon. So what this is going to do is it's going to give us more volume at the start here, as you can see, and then it's going to drop the volume in once we hit our other guitar coming in here, so it will sound like this.
Fit in with the other guys, shoot the breeze to show them I'm on board.
Yeah, probably still a little bit loud. In fact, this one can probably just come up a little bit. And I will have to automate the volume of this because what I'm going to have to do is a little bit of fiddly work to re-automate all of these, which you won't have to hang around and watch. I'll just do that off camera so that I can do my fade outs at the end here. And someone asked a really interesting and very relevant question, which is why don't I use GarageBand's automatic fade out instead of fading out the tracks myself? And the reason I do that is that sometimes I want to fade some instruments out a little bit earlier or leave some sort of delaying. So there might be a couple of guitars that I want to really just sort of fade out naturally and I don't want to put any fade on, and there'll be others where I want to make sure they're cut off earlier so that they're not part of that final bit. And I think it was Your Opinion, I used that with that organ track. The organ track was that final thing that sort of went right to the end, whereas yeah, some tracks you can just fade out completely if you want that sound, but I prefer to have a bit more control. But it's up to you which method you use. All right, I'm going to go and do the rest of this automation and do my fade outs, and then we'll come back and I will show you what we've done and we'll play the mix that we have here, which is going to be close to our final mix. Okay, I am back and whew, don't do what I did there. Don't put automation on, then try and take it off, then put it back on again. It doesn't go well. iPad gets very confused in GarageBand and vice versa. You can tell that I've been a while in this song, so it is time to move on because we do have other tracks to get to. But what I've done here is I've balanced out the track volumes as best I can. I've only really used automation for the fade out at the end here, so there may be a little tweak to do left with automation that I need to do with the guitar levels. They're the one things that seem to fluctuate a bit, but I did record it okay, so maybe the natural variance in the way I recorded and played it will help here. So once again, let me know what you think of this track. I'm much happier with it now than I was going in. You'll see that it's sitting nicely, it's a bit more balanced, it's not crushing up here in the yellows and reds, it's sitting in the green for almost the entire track, and I think that the EQ, the compression, some of the settings I didn't really touch any reverb or delay apart from on some of the vocal stuff, so there may be a few little tweaks that I need to do here as we come back just before mastering, but I wanted to get this done and show you, so hopefully you've seen some interesting things in here and this will help you with some of your mixing. Like I said, mix along the way if you can, but use smaller tweaks. Don't go really harsh on things. Don't overdo things early. It's easier to sort of boost things later than it is to try and cut back if you've gone too far. So that's probably my one key advice from this track. But for now, let's go out with this new mix of Sin.
better toughen up or this here town will eat you alive. They say protect yourself at every turn and never let the others see you cry. They say if you wanna fit in here, you better learn to follow, not to stand. They say it's time to be a man, and don't you ever try to get a helping hand. I didn't know it was a sin. I didn't know it was a problem anymore. It's just the way I feel within, and it's a feeling that I know I can't ignore. I try to fit in with the other guys, shoot the breeze to show them I'm on board. I try to realize the truth is that it's time to jump, forget about the code. I try to justify the bad behavior, just take a joke is what they say. I try to tell myself it's just the way it's been since back in the day. I didn't know it was a sin. I didn't know it was a problem anymore. It's just the way I feel within, and it's a feeling that I know I can't ignore. And now it's time to move on. I sit and try to respond, but they are laughing at me. I didn't know it was a sin to be my own man. I didn't know it was my job to make you understand all the time that I went along with what you say, even though I knew there must be another way. Now it's time that I made a new commitment. So sick of putting up with this resentment. Tried hard but I never even made a dent in the prejudice, the bigotry, the sentiment. Man up, hear you saying I'm the weak one. You're the one who needs to take a look at what you've done. I feel things, I'm pretty sure you feel them too. You're just stuck in the cycle that they handed you. Moving on, I wish you well maybe. Moving on and they're never gonna shame me. No judgment from the ones that I hold close. No judgment from the ones that mean the most. I didn't know it was a sin. I didn't know it was a problem anymore. It's just the way I feel within, and now it's rocking me to my core. I didn't know it was a sin. I didn't know it was a problem anymore. It's just the way I feel within, and now I'm pointing you to the door. I didn't know it was a sin. 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 I didn't know it was a sin.
So there you go, we are done with this mix, and personally I think it's sounding better. We've simplified some things. We haven't gone crazy with the number of guitar tracks and all of the processing that we had on there, and what I'm really learning is with throughout this whole process is that simpler is better. Throwing more tracks and more processing on your mixes is not the answer to getting better quality mixes. Now, if you want to review the two versions, you can check those out in the links. I'll link to both the original version on my SoundCloud account, and I'll upload this new new version so that you can actually take a listen to that as well, or you can listen to it as you did just then, which you've already done. But if you want to hear the original version to compare, then you can jump in and do that. Thanks again for watching. If you stuck with me through this, I really appreciate it. If you've got comments, questions, or suggestions, you can leave those down below, and I'll see you on the next video. Phew, we made it! If you'd like to check out some more videos, if you have any more energy, you can check out the 2 links down below. You can also click on the Studio Live Today icon in the top right corner to subscribe to the channel, or you can head on over to studiolivetoday.com for more audio goodness.